Rolling camera A, rolling camera B, rolling camera C, and action.
Correct. Michelle was the best agent for the job.
Most of my real estate shoots are pretty straightforward. Me, a camera, maybe an agent, and a property, but this one was definitely different. This was a 13-person production, spread across multiple roles, and designed to launch a brand new equine real estate firm for one of my longest clients. And it wasn't smooth sailing either. Clients who were supposed to be on camera couldn't make it because of last-minute schedule changes, roles shifted last minute, and the only way this project worked was because everyone on set leaned into adaptability. So, in this video, I want to take you behind the scenes. Not just show you the gear, though I'll do that, or the shots we captured, I'll do that too, but I want to give you a look at the process, how the project was scoped, how the team came together, and how we made it all work when last-minute plans change. Segment 1, the project scope. This whole project started with Michelle and Sebastian. Michelle wanted to launch her new equine-focused brokerage with a video that really set her apart from others, and Sebastian, a creative director based out of Brooklyn, helped her shape that vision. They pulled me in as a director of photography to figure out how to actually bring it to life on camera, and more importantly, how to do it under the budgetary restraints of a real estate project. First challenge, we weren't just making a property video. This was about telling a story, Michelle's story, through the voices of her clients. That kind of meant finding the right people, the right words, and a way to balance kind of authenticity with production value. But as with any production, plans change. Notice I keep mentioning that. Some of Michelle's clients couldn't make it, and others weren't comfortable being on camera. That could have derailed the entire project. Instead, we pivoted. We hired actors to stand in and deliver the real stories we already had. It wasn't about faking it. The words were true. The experiences were real. We just needed performers to carry them through on screen. The casting became its own process. I'd send over options to Sebastian, he'd send back notes, and little by little, we filled in the roles. We didn't lock the final part until the week of the shoot, which made things a bit stressful, but that's the reality of bigger productions. It seems like sometimes you're kind of building the airplane as you're flying it, right? And then came shoot day. Everyone showed up with one job title, but quickly had to wear multiple hats. Lee was supposed to be our on-camera or our second camera and grip. Well, he became our audio engineer, running the Rodecaster Pro 2 that I'm using right now. Brittany, our set coordinator, ended up reading lines with actors between takes.
What surprised you in a good way about working with Michelle?
Well, she's an excellent advocate for her clients, but she's also...
Sharon, who was handling set dressing, found herself main grip and miking talent with the Zoom F2 BT, 32-bit float recorder I've talked about before on this channel, that actually gave us some reliable backup audio and the peace of mind we needed to keep moving at this super fast pace that I'd built into the schedule. That adaptability, the willingness to step outside the original plan, it's what held this entire production together and the reason the rest of this shoot actually worked. Segment 2, building the team. One of my favorite parts of this project was, as always, the people. Now, I just mentioned how everyone had to wear more than one hat, but before that, each of them came in with a pretty specific role, and I think it's worth showing you who they were or what those roles were when I was building out this plan. All right, Sebastian, he was the creative director. Kind of covered him, big picture thinker, making sure Michelle's story came through the way it needed to. He had a hand in basically everything from script edits to casting to how the vinyl video should feel, and he was there last minute, adjusting and tweaking little things in the script. 2 instead of and, right?
Also the best rate. Also to help me find the best way to,
she was able to guide me through the process to help me find the best way.
get alone and the best rate.
Yeah, that's better.
So, and maybe in caps, like, and the best rate. She helped me get alone and the best rate.
Brittany, wifey, hats off, was our set coordinator. She kept us on schedule, made sure the actors knew what was coming next, filled in gaps, noticed little things in the background. Whatever needed doing, that's what she was doing. And on shoots like this, that kind of organization is critical. Sharon was our grip and set dresser. She's the kind of person who notices all the little things. And it was kind of good she was there because on this shoot, she even took over the role of miking talent, which was not in her original plan, but she nailed it, especially for someone who had zero experience doing so. Now, Lee, He's my go-to, came in as a camera operator and grip and ended up running audio through the Rodecaster Pro 2 that I just mentioned. That's not a small switch, by the way, but it shows just how valuable it is to have crew members who are comfortable stepping into multiple roles and not just the one they were hired as. Then, of course, we had Jess, our behind-the-scenes shooter. Having behind-the-scenes coverage might sound like a luxury, and it usually is, but honestly, it's how you capture the feel of the day. And a lot of what you're going to be seeing in this video and what you've seen so far is because Jess was there with her camera, documenting it all for us. Go Fuji. Then, let's get to our cast. Kira as the young professional, Emmy and Patrick as the couple, and Kimberly as the experienced farm owner. Remember those names for later. Then we had Michelle, of course, as herself, the agent. They were the faces of the story, and their performances will tie the entire project together. Put all that together, and you get more than just a crew list. You get one hell of a team. One that made this shoot possible. And once that team was in place, it all came down to the tools we trusted to carry us through the production. Segment 3, the gear we trusted. A project like this lives or dies on reliability. To save everyone's time and sanity on site, I decided to go with a not so obvious route for this one. See, the client, they specifically told me that they would be needing horizontal and vertical shots for their final product, and I thought I might as well set up 3 different cameras with slightly different angles so we can cut between them and get that really professional look in the end, where you're cutting mid-sentence and it's not an obvious cut like I do on YouTube. I've never personally shot with the FX30 before, but it was a camera I've been debating buying for like a long time for my real estate interior video work. Long story short, I rented 2 FX30 bodies from Lens Rentals. Well, I wanted to be all matchy-matchy with what I've already got for post-production, and that was the easiest to test something new. It's not the first time I've rented from them before, but each time honestly, I'm so impressed by the gear that comes and how it's shipped. Hard cases, extra wrapped, and everything requested. This gave us that extra leeway day of, allowing us to have the actors run through their lines multiple times to get that perfect take. Now, this is not a sponsor plug. I just honestly could not have pulled off this project the way I did without them. One of the FX30s was behind the teleprompter with a 24-70, and yes, I wish I had a fancy prompter people one, but you have what you have, and I'm still using it right now. The other FX30 was sitting vertically with my super old Nikon 50 1.8 because, to be honest, I'm biased and I just absolutely love this lens. I have adapters for like every system so I can keep using it everywhere. I love how imperfect it is. The last camera was my trusty A7 IV I'm shooting with right now, 35mm, same one I use for all these talking heads. These last 2 views were not as clean as the main shot, but I laid it out so hopefully I'll have an easier time in post-production cleaning all that up if requested by the client. Either way, all 3 scenes were approved before shooting. All of our lighting and gimbals being used the day of came from Zhuin, which I've used for years now. As y'all know, they sponsored my channel in the past, so you can call me biased if you want, but I already have the gear. I use it a ton. The durability and small size of all this equipment, with the majority of it being battery powered, well, that changes how quickly my production can move around, and that matters a bunch when time is money. For this shoot, my main was the Molish G300 with the Octobox, placed camera right behind the talent, so we're shooting on the dark side. The dark side was a touch too dark though, so I added a reflector. I ripped off that 4-color remover, or the 4-color cover, so just the scrim was being used, and I used that to bounce back a little bit. I was using 2 different Cinepeer C100 tube style lights. Now I love these because there's a ton of mounting options, barn doors, full RGB, and again, battery powered. One was being used as like a hair and rim light for the talent, and one was to add some directional lighting to that background and bring it up in exposure for that final grade. Segment 4, filming techniques. When a shoot grows in scale, you can't just rely on memory or habit. You need systems. On this project, we built in a little process that we made everyone follow every single time. For example, whenever a camera pressed record, there was an auditory call. Lift your body a tiny bit. There you go. Perfect. Just like that. There we go. All right, you ready again? You ready again? You ready again? All right, rolling on audio. Yeah, look at this camera. Please and thank you. Rolling camera 1, rolling camera 2, rolling camera 3, and action. I know it sounds basic, but that's the kind of discipline that keeps 3 different cameras in sync with audio and prevents mistakes before they happen. We also used a color checker video at the start of each setup. Simple tool, just a series of calibrated colors, but it's one of those things that pays off for itself the first time you need it. If exposure or white balance drifts during the day, that card gives you a fixed reference point to bring everything back in post in a very easy way. And audio, well, that's where redundancy mattered most. We had 3 layers running at all times. The Rodecaster is our main system, controlling 2 smaller condenser mics and a lav mic system capturing close dialogue. Here's why that process matters. When Kimberly ran her lines, the equine lady, we somehow missed hitting record on that Zoom unit. Nobody noticed on set. She finished, wrapped, left. It wasn't until later, after we'd already swapped media from card to SSD for playback and review, that's when we really noticed the F2 track was missing. But because we had the Rodecaster and all of those mics running as secondary and tertiaries, we didn't lose anything. The story survived, and that's the lesson. Redundancy isn't about what you expect to happen. It's about protecting yourself from the moment you never see coming. That combination of procedures, tools, and adaptability, it's what carried us through. It's what let us roll confidently from actor to actor, swapping media for review, knowing that even if something slipped, one camera, the project itself was still completely safe. Segment 5, takeaways and what's next. If there's one thing I took away from this project so far, it's that planning only gets you halfway. The rest comes down to the people you trust and the systems you build on site. We had to pivot casting, stretch the budget, ask everyone on set to step outside their original roles, and in the end, that flexibility is what kept the project alive. We're not finished yet. The last part of this project, or shoot, is still ahead. We'll be filming Michelle on her farm, doing the real day-to-day work that grounds her story in authenticity. You know, like feeding horses, moving hay, walking the property, the kind of things a farm property owner does. The kind of shots you can't fake, and the kind that will pull this entire video together. After that comes post-production, cutting the story, grading, sound design, and making sure everything lines up with Michelle's brand and Sebastian and her's vision. That process takes time, and I'll be honest, it won't be ready for at least a month or 2, but when it is, I'll share it here as the part 2 to this. For now, what I hope you take away is simply the value of preparation, redundancy, and teamwork. Real estate video doesn't always look like this, but when it does, it shows what's possible when you treat it as more than just documenting a property. So stick around if you want to see how this one ends, because the best part of the story comes through in the edit, and that's still ahead. In the meantime, if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways you can do that. You can check out Zemra's Coffee right over there, coffee company I co-own outside of production. You can also join my YouTube membership, where I share deeper dives and the topics I can't really cover here on the main channel. And of course, I've got affiliate links down in the description below that both help this channel and help you save money on gear in the long run. But hey, if none of that interests you, that's totally cool too. I just hope the information here was useful and maybe gave you something to think about for your next production. I'll catch you next time. Yeah, I'll catch you next time.